What I will tell you is, if this fight goes past 4 rounds, he's going to quit. At some stage, it will get too hard and he will quit. He hasn't got the fight in him anymore. I love fighting. I am not 100% in the head. I enjoy having a fight. We will see on March 4th where it happens, when it happens, but I must stress, when I knock David Haye out on March 4th, I am the best heavyweight in the world outside of them champions. Just let that sink in and think about, where do I go from there? He's the best heavyweight in the world outside of the champions. There's no debating that whatsoever. He's possibly the most dangerous heavyweight in the world, including the champions. What does he do very well? He's got a massive right hand. His technique is not the best, but his fantastic athleticism allows him to make up for that. If I can drag him to the second half of the fight and to the deep waters, I will drown him. I will win easy, but I don't think it will get that far. I do believe this fight could be a 4-round shootout, and I am under no illusions if he catches me clean in the first 4 rounds, I am going to have to get off the floor to win. But make no mistake, he's going to have to do the same thing. The big difference between me and him, he hasn't got it in him to get off the floor. Those are the words of Tony Bellew, the current WBC Cruiserweight World Champion, talking about his upcoming fight against David Haye on March the 4th. Some interesting stuff there from Tony Bellew. He says that if it goes past 4 rounds, David Haye is going to quit. Will he quit? He seems to imply that David Haye quit mentally against Carl Thompson, something I certainly disagree with. I don't think he quit mentally in that fight at all. I think he was fighting to the very end and trying to win, but he just didn't have it in the tank. He blew himself out. So him quitting against Bellew, anything can happen at the end of the day. Even Evander Holyfield at the end of his career when he fought Sherman Williams, he quit. And he was a guy who had no quit in him during his prime. So when you're not in the same athletic condition that you were in when you were younger, maybe you don't have the same type of desire, the same type of drive, then you might say no mas. You might quit when earlier on in your career you would never have dreamed of it. It can happen. So I'm not totally discounting it. The other things that he says are interesting, and again, I have to disagree. He says that David Haye is the most dangerous heavyweight in the world, including the champions. Well, that's debatable. I'm not going to say he isn't, but it's certainly debatable, because you do have people out there like Luis Ortiz, for example. And we don't know where David Haye is at the moment. He hasn't had a real fight since he fought Derek Chisora several years ago. Even Tony Bellew himself has said, we don't yet know where David Haye is at, because you can't gauge anything really from the 2 comeback fights he's had because the level of opposition has been so poor. So to declare David Haye as the most dangerous heavyweight out there outside the champions, I don't think you can make that type of assertion based on what we've seen of Haye recently. So I definitely disagree with that. He says that if he gets caught by David Haye, he'll probably go on the floor and he'll have to get up off the canvas to win. Will he be able to even get up off the canvas if David Haye catches him right? He may not be in any condition to get up off the canvas. And if he does, the referee might stop it if he's that badly hurt. So we'll see. We know that Tony Bellew is never going to be lacking for heart. That's one thing we can all agree on. Whether you hate Bellew or you like him, you respect him or you don't, the guy's got a ton of heart. He's got off the canvas many times in his career to win on several occasions. Obviously, he didn't do it against Stevenson, but against Ilunga Makabu. Early on in his career, he fought some British light heavyweight. I forget the guy's name. Southpaw guy. Bob Ajasafi. That's the guy. He dropped Bellew. Bellew got up to win that fight. He also got off the canvas to beat Ovil McKenzie. So he's done this many times, you know. So going down will not discourage Tony Bellew. If anything, it might fire him up. But he's never been hit as hard in the professional boxing ring as David Haye is likely to hit him. So we'll see if he can even climb off the canvas, if that happens. And if he does, will he be in any condition? But as far as the fight going past 4 rounds, I strongly suspect David Haye is going to win this fight and win it emphatically. But I have said that if Bellew's got any chance at all, it would have to be in the second half of the fight, because David Haye's stamina has never been great. And if Bellew still has it in the tank and he's willing to walk through a few shots, put his hands up and walk through shots to get close to Haye, then he might be able to put him under some type of pressure and test that stamina and maybe score an upset late in the fight by stopping Haye. That's one scenario. That's really the only scenario where I can see Tony Bellew winning. I know David Haye's chin also is not the greatest, but he is sharp. And, you know, Bellew's fairly sharp, I guess, with his counters and whatnot and his left hook. But he has much shorter arms than David Haye. So I find it unlikely that Bellew will be able to catch Haye early with big power shots. I think it will be Haye catching him with big power shots early in the fight, maybe all the way through the fight as long as it lasts. But yeah, if it does go a few rounds, Haye's punch output is likely to drop. And that may open the door. It may give a window of opportunity for Tony Bellew to walk in and start putting pressure on David Haye and maybe trying to do something similar to what Carl Thompson did to him all those years ago. Obviously, it won't be, well, I don't want to say obviously, but I'm assuming it won't be in 4 rounds. I'm assuming it will take 9, 10, 11 rounds maybe. If such an upset was to happen, Bellew would get on him very late and eventually catch up to him. Maybe similar to Buglioni catching up to Jose Burton very, very late in the fight. In a fight which many people felt like Buglioni was losing. Obviously, David Haye is a lot more formidable a puncher than Jose Burton and just a better fighter all round. But in terms of the pattern of the fight, overall, if Bellew was to score an upset, it might be something similar to that, where he has to ship a lot of punishment, but gradually wears Haye down, gets to him, exposes that stamina, maybe exposes the chin eventually. I don't know. Bellew's going to be confident. We all know that. At least outwardly. And he's definitely going to try and win when he gets in the fight. You know, when he gets in the ring and the bell goes. Even if deep down he thinks he is probably going to lose this fight, he's not going to go out there with the mentality of a loser when the bell goes. He's going to try and take David Haye's head off as best he can. So, it is what it is. Let me know what you think about Tony Bellew's comments here. Do you think he's got any chance at all? Do you think that David Haye is suspect after 4 rounds, considering the fact that he hasn't really had a real fight in several years? And Bellew has been fighting real fights. Let's not get it twisted here. Bellew has been fighting real fights against real opponents, tough fights, so on and so forth. That has to hold him in good stead to a certain extent, surely. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.